What's up, everybody? My name is Sid, and I've teamed up with the big homie Reg to bring y'all something new, something we like to call Beyond the Scoreboard. Y'all be sure to review, rate, and subscribe. Let's get to it. Making these flips. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard, where every 25-point lead is safe. As always, I'm Sid. What's going on, Reg?
What up? Ready to talk some football, man.
Man, so this is what? This is our first our first losing streak of the season. Now we sitting at 2 games, went to Tennessee, came out all kinds of bad. And in the second half, offensively was able to pick it up a little bit, but it was another case of too little too late for the second week in a row. So we ended up dropping that game to Tennessee 23-21. What did you see from that game? What did you like? What didn't you like? What were your takeaways?
First of all, let's start with just saying Tennessee defense have been playing better these last couple weeks. When the season first started, man, their secondary was getting torched, giving up big plays, blown coverages, you name it, they were giving it up. They're now playing behind their front four, get a lot of pressure inside. And they're just basically not turning the ball over on offense these days. But coming into this game, Tennessee was riding a winning streak of their own. They've beaten some very impressive teams this year. And I knew it wasn't going to be a pushover game. However, it was a game that I thought we would win. Tennessee just had more life. They had better playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Their receivers was more accountable than what ours was. Ryan Tannehill didn't play great, but he didn't play horrible as well. He didn't basically give the game away. And they got just enough from their weapons on the outside to make it a game, and they held on to a lead. On the Saints side, the struggles continue, and that's all around, man. We already came into this game short. Armstead, Kamara. As we all know, Michael Thomas is out for the season. So we had very little production from receivers yet again. Very little production from the tight end position. I thought we would use Mark Ingram and Taysom Hill a little bit more this game, but we didn't. Offensive struggles, man, is just not enough. Marshawn Lattimore had a bad day too, man. He had a horrible day. Guarding a wideout that I never even heard of, man. I saw Tennessee, their fan page was lighting him up, though, man. They gave him a lot of recognition after that game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was basically the game, man.
Like you said, man, it's not like Tennessee offensively did anything crazy. Once again, the score was 23-21, so it's not like, they went out there and put up a crazy amount of points, so their offense was super effective because our defense held up like it normally does most weeks. For the most part, it held up, but as we always talk about, it's only so many times you're going to be able to put your defense out there without giving them anything on offense and expect them to keep holding up. Like you say, man, wide receiver, a lot of us, man, I'm quite sure most Tennessee fans don't know who that guy is. And he went out there on Sunday.
Marshawn Lattimore know who he is.
And he went out there Sunday and ate, man, 5 receptions, 100 yards. It seemed like every time they needed a big play, he was there. It seemed like he was faster than everybody in our secondary on Sunday. Jeffrey Simmons, he played a huge game against our offensive line. I know Simeon ended up getting sacked 4 times. I think Simmons was at least 2 of those. Like you say, man, Tennessee they went from a team that we talked about. Once again, we talked about them, what was it, the first week of the season? Because I want to say Arizona destroyed them week 1. I remember us talking about it. They destroyed them week 1, and that's when we realized that we didn't know most of the people that was in their secondary. They're on a 6-game winning streak now. We thought that, Derrick Henry going down was really, man, they done lost Derrick Henry. Now what they going to do?
Right.
And they still find a ways to win. Their defense is looking better than we thought that it would be looking this season by far, especially once again with a whole lot of no names in their secondary outside of Janoris Jenkins and
Caleb Fairley.
No, they got a safety.
Michael Hooker.
Is that what this is? I don't know. But yeah, for the most part, a whole bunch of nobodies in their secondary.
Yeah.
But not, and I want to say they're undefeated against teams who were in the playoffs last year. This far too, so they have some huge wins under their belt. And I want to also say that I think they have the easiest schedule going forward too. So they set themselves up to withstand a Derrick Henry injury to at least still make it to the playoffs. And best case scenario, end up with a first week bye, and that would buy them a little more time for that shot in the dark of Derrick Henry to return in the postseason. But yeah, for New Orleans, man, it's like you say, man, it's the same things. We talk about the same things every week. Injuries is gonna play a part. It's been playing a huge part for us this season, but it plays a part for every team in every game. Penalties. Penalties killed us. It kills us every week. That's always one. Some of it is, once again, us just going out there and seeming like we undisciplined. Sunday, there was a call or two that was just
the flat out bad.
They do.
Call it what it was. Flat out bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, but once again, we can't afford to come out as slow as we did Sunday and expect to really beat anybody.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and we're going to get into it when we talk about going into this next week about Taysom Hill and what can be done and things of that nature. But once again, the team, we talked about it last week after the trade deadline, and we didn't move anybody or move for anybody. The team is what the team is at this point. There ain't nobody coming in that door that's a free agent right now that's going to change life for us. So it's about figuring out how to win these games, especially over these next 3 weeks. Winning these games with what we have. We got to figure out, like I said, the defense is playing as well as we can ask them to play right now. And that's even with, of course, Gardner Johnson missed Sunday. He's out. He's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. At least 3 games. So, it's going to be all about figuring that out. Once again, it's still a 23-21 game. Like, it's not like we went out there and got blew out or anything like that. You can definitely point out the moments where, if that would have went a different way, we could have won this game. So it's not something to really get down about yet. I guess we still in a position of where we'd be making a playoff if they started today. But like I say, man, the schedule only getting tougher going forward for us. So we really gonna have to figure out a lot of things.
I would like to touch bases too on some of the obvious plays that we had that to me kind of caused the game. If you would say we had 2 missed extra points. Those 2 points alone, tie ball game, overtime, whatever, and then the
and a missed field goal, if I'm not mistaken, and a missed field goal, right?
I think it was a field goal, and so I thought it was just 2 extra points.
I'm gonna have to look, yeah.
And that Deontay Harris fumble gave Tennessee all the momentum. That was just like game changing. Which from there they went up 20-6, and when they went up 26, to me it just felt like it might as well have been 46 because we know we don't have an offense built necessarily at this time to come back and make up so many points. But you got to give Tennessee credit. One thing I do like about Tennessee, and I just like in football, period, is the next man up, mindset. Tennessee, Derrick Henry went down, man. No excuses. Like, you didn't hit nothing. Mike Verbal, took it on the chin. Hey, man, look, football goes on. Life goes on, We got to do the best we can to replace him. It will be with a multi-running back system, and we're just going to keep moving forward. Julio Jones been banged up all year. That was a big piece that they got this offseason that they thought really was going to open up the passing game because I tell everybody, Derrick Henry getting 70 yards on 20 carries, to me, it still be like fantastic to see him run simply because he faced a loaded box every single play.
Yeah.
So his 70 yards on 20 attempts is someone else's 150 yards on 25 attempts or whatever. Yeah. But Julio Jones, you think, okay, if you're going to load the box, we got A.J. Brown that we could put in the X. We got Julio that can play the X for us. These guys in the slots are dangerous receivers, and they just haven't panned out for them yet. but yet they find a way to continue to win. Bud Dupree, another big guy that they picked up this offseason. He hasn't been able to perform how he did with that Pittsburgh unit, but he's still one of their better defensive players, him and Evans at the linebacker position. But Tennessee and the AFC, AFC is tough these days, and they continue to be worthy opponents, and just got to pat them on the back for that, man.
And another play I wanted to point out, which once again we touched on penalties, but the penalty for roughing the passer,
that was ridiculous.
On the possession where they went up 13-6.
Wasn't it on third down too? I think that was on third down. Yeah, that was
and that,
man.
And that could have been that changed a lot too. But yeah, man, there's a lot. Once again, hats off to Tennessee. Like they're a team that those first few weeks we were looking at.
I know you cheer for them on a slick. You cheer for Derrick Henry on the slick.
I love Derrick Henry, bro. I love Derrick Henry, and I really like Ryan Tannehill. He's one of those. I like seeing quarterbacks who we can point at and say they just weren't in the right situation. Like people were really hard on Ryan Tannehill when he was in Miami. And now look at him like this. And now you look at him and you're like, hey, that man's playing, some really good football. He's doing what is asked of him. But yeah, so Tennessee was a team that we looked at the first 3 games of this year and was like, it don't look like this gonna be their year. And they turned it around fast. And they rolling right now. I want to say they're on the longest win streak in the NFL right now. So
is it 6 now?
Yeah, 60 games. Yeah. So yeah, let's move on across the NFL. Sunday action. Seattle and Green Bay.
Ice Bowl.
17-0. Green Bay won that game, and for the most part, it didn't look like anybody deserved to win that game. Russell Wilson, of course, returning from his injury.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers returning from his bullshit of the past week, and both quarterbacks did not look like themselves. Green Bay won that game because, for one, their defense is really solid. They got a really solid defense.
Mm-hmm.
Losing Aaron Jones, that's tough.
But thank God Dillon is behind them, though.
I was just about to say AJ Dillon seems to be a better pickup at backup running back than Jordan Love is at backup quarterback. Go ahead.
Before you go forward, I just want to say how interesting would it have been, right, for them to let Aaron Jones walk, because they paid him very good this offseason.
Yeah.
If they would have let him walk and then turned around and still walked into AJ Dillon and had all that extra free money to address other situations like a number 2 receiver that they so desperately need, that would have been very interesting to see.
Yeah. But that game was just a weird game because neither of the quarterbacks looked like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You got Aaron Rodgers ended up going 23 of 37, threw an interception, didn't throw no touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson went 20 of 40, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He got sacked 3 times, but he gets sacked 3 times every game. That's part of his stat line with the offensive line that he's working with.
Right.
But yeah, the fact that neither one of those offenses, but more importantly, those quarterbacks got going, made that for a game everybody was looking forward to because of who the quarterbacks were, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, for it to end up being a 17-0 game. That was a tough one to watch. And also, once again, we get on here every week and we talk about the NFC West. Seattle, you might as well call them done in that division. Yeah, because that division is too tough. For them to be sitting where they sit
games too.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll say this. I'm that guy that, like, folks, but I'll turn the TV off. I couldn't watch that game. It was so boring. Oh, man. Look, I enjoy every second of football because once it's gone, it's gone. And then we just sitting around playing with our thumbs saying we can't wait for football. So I try to enjoy all of them. This was probably the most difficult game it was for me to watch in a very long time. It was bad.
Yeah.
That was a very bad game. Very bad game. But Seattle defense have been playing better too. I'll say at least the last 4 weeks now. Ken Norton has kind of put some things into place. Carlos Dunlap is back alive. Jamal Adams, they put him back in the box and took him out of coverage. And I mean, they look very well. He was the one who caught that intercept, matter of fact, in the red zone that Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers
yeah.
threw. But Seattle defense is playing much better these days as well.
Yeah, and once again, we talking about now that I think about it, we talking about two quarterbacks who probably won't be with their respective franchises next season. Two quarterbacks who voiced wanted to be out this past
Yeah.
off season, and we're gonna see how that goes going forward. But with Russell Wilson and Seattle looking like they already out of it, it's really going that chatter for him is really about to pick back up a lot as well.
Well, we say that, and I just say this before we move on. We say that, but one thing that I do like about Seattle, I really believe they're gonna do everything it takes once again to keep Russell Wilson. It's just gonna come down to how do he really want to be here or not. To me, that's what it's gonna
Yeah.
come down to. And he kind of, to me, his personality goes, it wavers back and forth. How he
Hmm.
addresses the media. A guy like Aaron Rodgers, who I believe is more stern and firm on,
Yeah.
I'm okay with leaving here. Like they had
Yeah.
situations that I would have left this offseason if they would have presented themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't even think the question is because prior to this upcoming season that we're in, it was always who's going to step up. Who's going to step up? Is any team going to step up and really give up three first round picks for any of these guys being on the back end of their career? And you just saw what Matthew Stafford and others went for. And now I believe the question is absolutely there's someone out there that give you 2+ first
Yeah.
round draft picks
Yeah.
for either one of these guys.
Especially Russell Wilson because he
Right.
has more life left to him,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so and like you said, I think Russell Wilson is definitely more of a passive aggressive type of guy,
Mhm.
and he's not going to be as vocal or as straightforward about his situation as Aaron Rodgers will be. But I can definitely see a situation where neither of them are playing unless Green Bay wins the Super Bowl. I think for sure Aaron Rodgers is gone next year. With Russell Wilson, I think it's more reasonable to think that he'd still be in Seattle next year than Aaron Rodgers would be in Green Bay. But I think for the franchise and for him, it's probably time to part ways.
And I agree with everything you just said. I just find it very hard to believe that in such little time, Jordan Love could win over the coaches that's there. Because I mean, he no matter
Oh,
what
I
happens.
don't.
Go
Oh, I
ahead. I'm
don't.
sorry.
I don't think Jordan Love is their answer. I don't think they believe that either
Oh,
after
okay.
what they've seen from him thus far. But once
Yeah.
again, you're talking about a situation where you're gonna get a handful of first rounders for Aaron Rodgers, and then depending on who you get that from, can you turn that into who's gonna be your next franchise
I
quarterback
got you.
if you Green Bay and
I got
Seattle,
you. Yeah. I
honestly.
got you. Yeah.
um, are the Kansas City Chiefs back?
Too early, man. That defense scared the hell out of me, Sid. That defense has been too bad for me to believe anything about KC, man. That defense. I mean, it looked good to see them scoring and Pat Mahomes connecting with all his guys and Travis Kelsey, back to catching 50 balls and a half and all this good stuff. But that defense is what really scares me, man. I think it's too early to say that they back. I definitely have to see a little bit more before I say that.
I think so. The first thing about that, I know me and you have talked about this. So we talk about everything off air. We've talked about how I feel about Kansas City. When I'm saying, man, their defense has always been horrible. It's
Hmm.
just that their offense has been so high powered and so efficient that they've been able to overcome that. Plus, the defense for the past 3 seasons have been very opportunistic about being able to force turnovers at the right
Right.
time or
Right.
able to make those stops in the red zone and force field goals.
Right.
Um, we talked about it before the game. I say, hey, if Kansas City put up 30 points, that mean they offense rolling. They gonna win the game.
Hmm.
Ain't no them losing. So when
Hmm.
they got off to that high start, I was like, yeah, they're not losing this game.
Hmm.
Um, if their offense can get back to being that, and I'm not even talking about 400 yards, 5 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes, but if they get back to limiting the turnovers that started, they've become a turnover machine
Really have.
recently. Yeah. So if they can cut back off of those turnovers, that more than anything else is going to put them back in a position to where they can start back rolling the way that they are. And with a quarterback, with the talent that they have on offense in general, and the offensive mind that they have in Andy Reid, it's hard for me to believe that they can be more of what we've been seeing from them this season versus what we've been seeing from them the past few seasons. Vegas isn't a team that would have just that we expected to just get rolled over. That's a team that we've looked at and said, "Oh, that's good competition." So that's a good start. But like you say, we do have to keep watching and making sure that those turnovers don't creep back up on them because that's what killed them. Their defense is their defense. I'm not expecting much out of that defense. So the offense has to be a top offense in the league in order to overcome that.
Yeah, and I think one thing that killed the Raiders was that they got in their own way. From the beginning of time, once Pat Mahomes became Pat Mahomes, I don't care who you were. If you thought you can hang around and compete with this team, you win for it on 4th and short, 4th and 2, 4th and 1, especially at the 50 or so. The Raiders just came out flat. They came out so conservative and like the only thing I could think of, like as I was watching the game, was their defensive coordinator must have felt very, very confident in the game plan that he put in place to slow this offense down. But with the first half alone, you had to throw that out the window, bro. Like you could throw away every sheet that you got drew up because it's not working. I mean, they were rolling in the first half, you know. But that's the only thing I could come up with because once they didn't go for it on 4th and 1 at the 50, and like I said, teams have been able to run and pass on KC. Derek Carr got off to a good start, so you had momentum leading up to that 4th down play. I just didn't understand why they didn't go for it. Even the play call on 3rd down was one of those plays where they were saying, hey, it's 2 down territory, so don't force it. Let's just get something positive here because we're prepared to go for it on 4th down. And then you get the 4th down and you punt the ball. It was a short punt at that. And I mean, they go right down the field and score. I didn't like the play calling at all. I didn't like them being conservative. But Kansas City, if they can get back to creating turnovers, that's the big thing. We've seen it time after time after time. A great offensive team, horrible defense, but the defense is good enough to bend but don't break and cause turnovers. That's really been the recipe for most teams that have been winning the Super Bowl lately. But this defense has been so bad, and I mean like so bad. This KC defense has really been bad overall. Up the middle, they can't stop anyone from setting the edge. I saw them against Baltimore with the QB options, the way they played that. Chris Jones didn't know who was keeping the ball. He was looking sideways, completely out of the play. Like their defense has been bad, man. But like you said, if they can continue to roll like this offensively, then they have a puncher's chance against anybody.
All right, so 2 more games I want to ask you about from this past week. The first being Cam Newton return to being a Panther. And just not even just specifically him, but that performance that the Panthers were able to put out with PJ Walker as their starting quarterback, filtering in Cam where they could, but more importantly, Christian McCaffrey being back and looking like the running back we expect him to be.
It was great. First of all, man, I absolutely love to see Cam Newton do well. Kind of like how you spoke about Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, how you Saints fan all day long, but those are 2 guys you cheer for. Cam Newton is a guy that I cheer for, man. And I hope some type of magically way he can do something this season that can at least put him in a backup role next season. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's ridiculous he's not at least a backup quarterback like at this point. But it was fun. It was exciting to see them put packages in for Cam. I mean, he didn't have much. He ran the ball when needed, threw a touchdown, and Carolina defense. At times they still look just as good as they looked the first 3 weeks of football. And then you add Stephon Gilmore. I mean, Jesus, he had a pick in his first 2 games, and he's a true lockdown corner. So Christian McCaffrey is back, and I think he's the whole answer to the offense. Like he's their Alvin Kamara,
100%.
But they rely on him more than we even rely on Alvin Kamara at times. So, which is scary. But I really think Carolina can really go far in this division. I'm not gonna lie. It may not look pretty all the time, but with that defense playing to the max of their ceiling, Cam Newton has weapons on the outside, and Anderson and Moore, Christian McCaffrey. That's enough to get it done in this league. So I'm looking forward to seeing Carolina in the future, man.
The first thing I want to say is I don't want to. I want to defend the league on this part, which I usually don't do. But Cam not being a backup quarterback is partly on Cam saying, "Look, I'm a starter. I got to be given the opportunity to compete for a starting job." Which there's not too many teams that's looking at him and saying, "Yeah, that's going to be our starter." I'm glad that he got the opportunity to start again, but especially to go back to Carolina and end up in a position where he's familiar with. And I think he's going to be able to do a lot with that team for the rest of this year as their starting quarterback. Like you say, that offense revolves around Christian McCaffrey. 13 carries for 95 yards, 10 receptions for 66 yards. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's I'm quite sure he
And
said
that was a light
50%
day.
of touches.
That was a
Yeah,
light
exactly.
day.
Exactly. I don't think he played the fourth quarter. If we're being honest, I don't think he played the fourth quarter. So I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they can definitely make some noise in our division. Which we about to get into our division a good bit too. Um, but yeah, man, Christian McCaffrey, Cam Newton, that defense. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Stephon Gilmore, of course, was the bigger move, but we forget all about the cornerback they went and traded for the week before from Jacksonville.
Henderson.
We forget all about Henderson being there
Yeah.
and being in position in that secondary too because of how good Gilmore is and what he is. But Gilmore and Deontay Jackson on the opposite side of him, that's a crazy duo at corner.
It is, man. Dante Jackson has had a crazy career because, like, coming out of LSU, all eyes was on him. Super fast in a division that had great receivers across the board.
Yeah.
Julio in Atlanta, Michael Thomas in New Orleans, Mike Evans and Godwin in Tampa. So every week you look and he had, I mean, not every week, but every division game he had a big opponent to guard. First year did great. Ever since then he fell off. They acquired Henderson and Gilmore, and he looks right back to not only to his rookie year, but he looks better than what he even looked his rookie year. But that Carolina defense as a whole, man, has just looked good this season.
All right, so the last one I want to touch on, Tampa Bay against Washington. and I'm not even really concerned about the game. I want to ask you because I think you had Tampa Bay going to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year when we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still see them as a favorite to make it out of the NFC? And if you do, is it because of anything more than Tom Brady?
It's a couple things. So first of all, right, let's start here. Far as the NFC go, AFC go, whatever, in football period, to me, there is no cut. This team is better than the next team when you think of like the powerhouse NFC teams or the powerhouse AFC teams. After saying that, I can honestly say I still have Tampa Bay favorite. The only other team I could think of for obvious reasons is the Rams. Anytime you acquire Odell and Von Miller, yeah, you're going, the chips is going to start to stack up on your side of the table. But I can stick strong and still say I still believe in Tampa Bay. Right now they're hurt, they're banged up. We've seen them, to me, play their worst football. But they have a guy who they trust in Tom Brady. He has weapons that hopefully at some point will be healthy this year. And, long as that defense can hold up, I think they can be right back in the hunt. But no, of course, it's all Tom Brady now. I mean, if you remove Tom Brady out of this situation, then no, I don't believe in Tampa Bay anymore.
Yeah, and so coming into the season, my big thing was last year they were able to fare well when it came to injuries and avoiding them. I didn't feel like they'd be able to repeat that, and so far they haven't. We haven't seen Gronk in a while. We haven't seen Antonio Brown for a while. Every time I look up, somebody else in their secondary going down.
Yep.
I want to say offensively, I think they lost an offensive lineman recently as well. We haven't seen Scotty Miller all year, I want to say at this point. So the injuries are definitely piling up on them.
Carlton
and you're looking at a position. Yeah, Carlton Davis and the other corner too, the other Murphy Bunting.
I forgot his name. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like week 2 or 3. He had an elbow injury or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the injuries are definitely piling up on them. And just like you said, AFC NFC, there isn't really any teams that's separating themselves from the rest of the bunch. So when you look at it going forward, and man, I was looking at the standings the other day, and I'm like, man, they got so many teams that's already got 4 losses
Mm-hmm.
on the year. But even being more specific and just looking at the NFC South, yeah, Tampa Bay is sitting at the top at 6-3, but you got us right there at 5-4. You got Carolina, I think, are 5-5 now,
Uh-huh.
and I think Atlanta's sitting at 4-5 or 4-6. Um, so there isn't um, a lot of room for error in
Right.
between that in a division that's already plays each other tough, and
Mm-hmm.
you still got a lot of division games to go.
Yep.
Honestly, when I look at Tampa Bay, I still have them up there. I'd probably say for me, they'd probably be like I'd have them as the fourth team that I would be like, oh, I can see them making it out of the NFC.
Got you
I would
said
take,
four.
yeah, I got 3 teams that I would put ahead of
I'm,
them right
I'm
now.
I'm guessing that would be the Rams, the Saints,
The Rams, no, not
Cowboys.
the Saints.
Not the Saints. Okay.
The Rams, the Cardinals, and the Cowboys.
Okay.
Um, all 3 teams who we know what their offense can be when clicking on all cylinders. They have a high power offense,
Mm-hmm.
just as high powered as Tampa's, if not even more so, because it's few of them. A couple of their run games are stronger, but their defenses have been playing better as well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you look at the Rams. We saw what the Cardinals were before Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins decided to take a 2-week hiatus. Um, so yeah, so I really just wanted to get your take on that, being that they were in the division and how close our division is looking right now,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
also with how good that NFC West division is looking as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and look forward to week 11. Sitting at 5-4, man. We go to Philly. We go to Philly Sunday to take on the Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 2. The 2-point favorite. Um, I saw the injury report today. I know they said Kamara returned to practice. Taysom Hill was out there, but I don't think he
I
did
think
much.
Prim.
Armstead, what you saying?
He participated, but he was limited.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Armstead and Ramchick didn't practice, but that's more rest than anything else for those 2 guys. Um, so nothing has changed much except for it looks like Alvin Kamara may be on pace to play this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Tony Jones got activated from IR, so his 21-day window has opened up for him to return. But once again, man, we just talked about it a few minutes ago. The team is the team. We got what we got. Hopefully, Armstead can play this week because our O line is probably the strongest point of our team when healthy. So having them healthy is really important, especially since we're already down a starting lineman for the year. Um, Kamara being back, of course, that's just like when you talked about Christian McCaffrey and how he was all of Carolina's offense. All our offense starts and ends with Alvin Kamara and what he's able to do for us for the most part. Philadelphia is a team that no one had high expectations for going into this season. They are, I think, probably what everybody expected them to be. Maybe they're a little better than what everybody expected them to be. They're 4-6 right now. Um, how do you see this game playing out?
I think if we do win this game, which I think we will, I think Trevor Simeon would be at quarterback again. But I think this is going to be another game that, to me, he has to pass for 250 yards or more to win. I think another opponent that's going to load the box, try to take away Elvin Kamara the best way possible, and I think they're going to put attention on trying to get pressure inside. Philly, believe it or not, the best part of their team, not just defense but team, is their defensive line. A lot of people don't like Philly's quarterback, Jalen
Jalen
Hurts.
Hurts.
But to me,
Yeah.
he's one of those guys that it's hard to judge because he has such little weapons around him that to me,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to fairly grade him. But he doesn't turn the ball over. He's not reckless with it and things of that nature. So, and this was a team that beat us last year when Drew Brees was hurt and Taysom Hill was playing. I think that was Taysom's only loss last year as a starting quarterback. So, yeah. So, I mean, it'd be a little revenge game for us or whatnot. But I definitely think this is going to be a game that the Saints are going to have to open up the passing game a little bit more, and that's regardless to who is lining up at receiving and tight end. I think we're going to have to do that early. We're going to have to come out, pass the ball early, hopefully take some shots if they present themselves. But I definitely think this is going to be a game. In order for us to win, it's going to take Trevor Siemian to throw the ball for 250 and 2 touchdowns. But I do have us winning.
The thing about Philadelphia is they aren't awful at anything except for passing yards a game. But they're still better than us at this. We're 31st, they're 27th. They have a real strong run game, which I like. I like when we're facing teams like that because I know what our run defense is. Right. So I'm never worried about any team running the football down our throat. So Jalen Hurts is going to have to get out there. He's going to have to throw the football. He doesn't have much to work with. Devontae Smith has looked okay when he's been healthy this year. Dallas Goedert has looked really good, honestly. Dallas Goedert, I know sometimes we tend to have some issues with tight ends as well, so that's going to be a matchup to look at him against our secondary. But overall, like I say, if it's going to come down to how well Jalen Hurts passes the ball versus how well Trevor Siemian passes the ball. And whoever you feel is going to do that the best with what weapons are available to them is how that's going to is the way the game is going to go. I agree with you. I think we win this game. I think Trevor Siemian, once again, and Trevor Siemian has not played bad in any game that he's played for us this year. He has not played bad at all. Once again, we know about the week before last. There was a lot of drop passes. There were a lot of missed opportunities. This past week, he got sacked 4 times. The offense in general just couldn't seem to get going. So, like you say, it's real important that we come out early and are able to have success, especially through the passing game. It can't be, man, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but it killed me that on every first and second down, they ran the football. Like every time we got out there on first and second down, we running the football. What we get is what we get, and then we'll throw the ball on third down. You gotta get some passes in there on first and second down. You have to.
And then you find yourself down losing in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden, we do got the rest of these passing plays. We do have a better playbook.
Yeah, exactly. When the first 3 quarters you looking at 3rd and 7 on every drive and every possession, and that makes that can't go like that. So we do have to come out throwing the ball early. I think that Philadelphia defense is a defense that we can have some success with running and throwing the football. But once again, throwing the football is going to be where we actually need to try to thrive at. Not just in this game, but going forward. We're going to have to use our pass to set up our run versus doing it the opposite way. Just because, for one, we got Mark Ingram back, but even in between those 2 guys, they shouldn't be seeing 35 touches a game running the football. Alvin Kamara definitely not built to be running up in between the tackles that many times a game. And Mark Ingram isn't either at this point, to be honest. But once again, the passing game has to be something that teams have to respect. Like, they don't have to fear it, but they got to respect it. And right now, nobody's respecting our passing game. Even though Trevor Siemian is playing good, the receivers, Deontay Harris has been our best receiver this year. Troutman looked better last week. Traquan looked better last week. Still wasn't good enough. Still need more. Juwan Johnson was active last week after not being active the week before for whatever reason. So I agree with you. We got to come out passing the football, attacking that secondary, attacking that defense. but it's a game that we should win and probably need to win, being that we have that game Sunday, turn around and play Buffalo on Thursday, and then I think that following game is a division game, if I'm not mistaken.
1, 2.
I'll check right now. Matter of
Is it the
fact,
Jets game?
oh no, then we played the Cowboys on Thursday night. So so we need to win this one because it's a strong possibility that we can go 1-2 during those games.
Yep.
I mean during that stretch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's true. All right. So last thing about this game coming up this Sunday, who is your player to watch? Who do you think is the player that needs to have the biggest impact for the New Orleans Saints to bring home this victory?
And I'm going to say outside of Alvin Kamara because he's always number one.
Okay.
I'm going to say Traquan Smith. Deontay Harris he's somebody who you have to respect his speed no matter what at all times. But if you have to respect the bigger body of Traquan Smith, who isn't slow himself, but if we can get him going and get some attention placed on him, that opens up so much more for Deontay Harris or even for Callaway on the opposite side for him. Once again, we just talked about it. The passing game is going to be important. And I have way less worries about Trevor Siemian than I do the receiving cast that he's been throwing the football to. I don't think that tight end is really going to be a position that's going to be able to exploit this defense. I think it has to be at the receiver position, Traquan Smith or Callaway, but I'm going to put it on Traquan Smith.
Okay. My player to watch, and I'm kind of ready for him to have a somewhat of a breakout game. He's been consistent all year long, really made me a believer because I came into this year with a lot of doubt, and that's Marcus Davenport. I'm ready to see that double-digit sack game from him, the constant pressure, the game that kind of say, all right, it's okay to go get his jersey now. Like he's in the club. He's one of my guys. He's one of the dudes we already know Cam Jordan is, beginning to pass that torch. He's beginning to slow down a little bit or whatnot. But I think Davenport is the guy that needs to bring it opposite side of Cam Jordan, get pressure, force Jalen Hurts out that pocket, couple throwaways, things of that nature. I'm looking forward to see him win his matchup this Sunday.
And he's looked better each week. Each week he's been out there, he looks better and better. So I definitely like what we have in Marcus Davenport. And me and you talk once again, man. We were talking off air and we were saying how you got to give these young players time to develop and become what they're gonna become. You can't expect day one for them to step into the door. And it's not like we out here drafting anybody in the top 5. So you can't expect all these players to come out and just perform and put up these crazy numbers from day one. Give these guys a chance to develop and become solid players. And when you do that, you usually see, especially with our organization, that most of these players tend to pay off in time.
Some way, somehow.
Yeah, exactly. So let's look at the Washington football team against the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers are 3.5-point favorites. What you got on this one?
The Carolina Panthers. Can you give me that one more time?
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna take Carolina in that game. 3.5. They're at home, the Panthers, and to me they tend to play better at home, way better at home. The defense kind of is more alive, and they're just a home team. Of course, Cam Newton back, more than sure we're going to see a lot of energy. He's going to be ready to break his neck to make a play, get in that end zone.
Yeah.
So long as they can lean on their defense and let Christian McCaffrey continue to win games and bring them home, I don't see why not Carolina have an issue. Playing against a team in Washington, to me, who has underplayed. You talked about expectation
earlier. Defensively.
Exactly. Because this is a team that we all came in saying, hey, to me, this is the clear cut to win this division. They're the more balanced team. They had a veteran quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick. And we always looking at Taylor Heineke saying, hey, even if something happened, we feel like he's decent enough to step in and not win games, but keep them at par level and let the defense bring them home. You saw what you had in Gibson as a running back and everything. And this team, to me, has just been flat all season, whether you want to say injuries or whatever excuse you want to throw out there.
Yeah.
This is the NFL, and we all have them. So they haven't been consistent enough for me to make me think any highly of them this Sunday. I know what I'm going to get out that Carolina defense, and I'm just hoping that Cam Newton don't turn the ball over and make the obvious plays. And I think Carolina can win this one.
And that's the thing for me. Washington hasn't been consistent at all. I look at that team, and defensively, I don't know what it is, because I can't even use injury as an excuse defensively. Because we were looking at their D. Well, now Chase Young is out, but that just happened. So the first half of the season, you've had Montez Sweat, De'Aaron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young. You've had all of those guys there. We're looking at this defensive line. So that's clearly the best defensive line in football, and they haven't played anything like it this season.
So true.
Offensively, Ryan Fitzpatrick went out early, but like you say, with a guy like Tyler Heineke, you're saying, well, if the defense plays as it's supposed to play, we can still win games with Tyler Heineke. The defense hasn't performed as it should have. They've dealt with some injuries with Gibson. Curtis Samuel, I don't think, has touched the field for more than 2 quarters this season. And that was somebody that they brought in this offseason. Was like, yeah, that's going to be a great number 2 to put on side of McLaurin. And he hasn't panned out. So once again, like you say, this is a home game for Carolina. Cam Newton's back. This is going to be a big energy. Like you say, it's going to be a whole lot of energy in that stadium Sunday for his return. And I think that they're going to be able to get that victory, especially if McCaffrey's going to be McCaffrey on top of Cam being able to add a spark to that offense. So, yeah, I got Carolina, and I got them being able to win probably by a touchdown.
And don't forget that digital Panther that they're going to throw out there before the game, man. Don't forget about that. It's going to be jumping all around.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I was disappointed Sunday when Cam scored his first touchdown and he didn't do the Superman because he was so excited to address that he was I'm back.
Yeah,
I was ready to see the Superman.
Yeah, if he stick with the I'm back for the rest of the year or whatever, make that. I'm cool with it. I love it.
All right, so the next game we're gonna look at is 49ers traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The 49ers are a 6-point favorite in this game, which to me kind of seems like a lot. San Francisco is another team that I look at and said there's been no consistency there this year. Once again, with every team, there's been injuries. But that Jacksonville team is a team that's been playing a whole lot better these past few weeks. It hasn't necessarily translated to wins every week, but they've been able to keep their games closer. Trevor Lawrence has made a whole lot less mistakes than he was making at the beginning of the season, where it seemed like he was turning the ball over every other possession. And James Robinson, I think, is finally healthy. And once again, he's their top running back. He's the guy that you need to see back there. San Francisco looked great Monday. Ain't no denying that. They looked great Monday. George Kittle looked amazing. Jimmy G didn't turn the ball over. Jimmy Ward was doing whatever he wanted to on that side of the football. Do I think they dominate like that again? I don't. And once again, we haven't seen anything like that from them consistently this year. So if you tell me they go to they go to Jacksonville and end up in a close game with Jacksonville, I can absolutely see it. I can see it being a field goal game. So I'm going to take Jacksonville to be able to stay within those 6 points, but I do think San Francisco wins that game.
Man, this was so close, and you touched on all the key factors that I thought about before I made this decision. But it came down to 2 things, right? One, who do I believe turned the ball over more? I have to go with Jacksonville. Yeah. And to me, the biggest thing, I can't wrap my head around how can Jacksonville slow down the San Francisco 49ers running game. I think it's almost a given these days that San Francisco gonna run the ball for $120, $150 per game. And I'm just telling myself, well, if you're gonna allow them to do that, that means George Kittle is gonna be heavily involved in the game. That means Deebo Samuel is gonna be heavily involved in the game. And even though San Francisco is not a team that's known for putting up 40, I think they could win a shootout against Jacksonville. So if your defense is better than this team, you're going to turn the ball over less than this team, and you're going to run the football and handle the clock better than this team. It comes down to coaching. And I told you from the beginning of the season and preseason, I did not like not one thing I saw from Jacksonville. Jacksonville looked like they was straight up guessing out there on offense. Like they was playing that, picking random play and whatever formation go out there. Like they to this day, they have no identity. Like what is Jacksonville's identity? And that's offensively and defensively. What is they thing? What is that thing that they do good? Is it running the ball? Is it play action? Do they set up shots downfield? Great. No. It's a week by week progression. I think they tend to take what the defense give them and hope for the best. I really do think that's what they go in doing. No disrespect to them, because like I said, I was one that looked at it and said, this is not gonna work. Like the O-line is not good. You got a rookie quarterback. You're dependent heavily on a running back that's still young, and you can't rely on your defense for anything. But like you said, Trevor Lawrence, it's good to see him play better, not turn the ball over much. But to me, they still have to find their identity. And San Francisco is coming off a big win, a real big win. And I know a lot of times we see teams come off big wins and then lose or struggle against a less worthy opponent. But for some reason, I feel like the motivation is going to be high. They looking at it like we can get another win, pull this division back closer. And I'm taking San Francisco in this one.
Got you. Got you. The next one we're going to look at is the Bengals and the Raiders. This is basically a pick'em game. The Bengals are on -1 in this game. Once again, we talked about consistency.
The Bengals and who?
Raiders.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought you said Ravens for some reason. Okay.
Oh no, Raiders. Yeah. Once again, we've talked about consistency a bunch over the past 10, 15 minutes, and that's something else that the Cincinnati Bengals have been lacking. We saw them early on, and we're like, hey, this might not be the Cincinnati of old. They may have really finally figured it out within 2 draft classes, and then over the past few weeks, it's been what's going on here? You know, they get beat down by Cleveland. I want to say, have they lost a couple straight, or did they? Because I can't remember who they played that close one to. The Bengals. The Bengals.
I don't know if they lost 2.
Are they on a losing streak, or
I think they lost. I think they lost their last game before they had a bye or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think they
Cleveland game.
I don't think they dropped 2 in a row or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, they're definitely a team who hasn't been consistent. We know what they can be offensively. We know, between Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon, they have Joe Burrow has come off his injury and has looked to be progressing as a quarterback. And defensively, they've been better than people pictured that they would be. Trey Hendrickson has been a big part of that, The Raiders, I thought Monday was going to be a chance to really evaluate the Raiders and say, look, they really have something even. Yeah. And they went out there and the stuff that they've had go on this season between John Gruden and then Henry Ruggs, Arnett, all this stuff that and you thought initially they had some good showings to where you're like, oh, they're gonna overcome this, and now it's catching up to them. When your number one wide receiver is Hunter Renfrow, it's not too many games you're gonna really be able to to win with him being your number one. And you still have Darren Waller, but I haven't heard anything about Darren Waller since week 1, week 2.
Returning from the injury.
Yeah, so I mean, I have very little faith in the Raiders right now. Defensively, I don't think they're gonna be able to keep up with Cincinnati. Um, Cincinnati probably will struggle with a player like Darren Waller. So, Derek Carr and Darren Waller will probably have a decent game, but I don't think that they can win a shootout going back and forth with Cincinnati. So I got Cincinnati in this one.
Right there with you again, agreeing a lot this episode, man. And I'll tell you the reason for me is what you just spoke about, right? To me, the Raiders is just a much better team when they play aggressive, point blank, period. It was such a letdown to me to watch them play against Kansas City so conservative because last year, I think that was last year, they put on a great showing when they went back and forth with KC point for point and almost beat them. I think that the final score wound up being 30-34. Derek Carr is a gunslinger, bro, like straight up. He can scramble, he can move a little bit, but he got a strong arm and he likes to extend plays and get the ball downfield. I know you lost Ruggs, but you still got Deshaun Jackson, who had a big catch in that game and wound up fumbling. But they just went flat. They just went flat. They went super conservative, like they were worrying about controlling the clock too much. And I don't know what Raiders team we're going to get. I'm not sure if we're going to get the Derek Carr that throws for $175 or the one that's going out here and trying to put the team on his back and get 350. I'm not sure. Defense, they have definitely taken a step down. They were balling at first and getting sacks and getting pressure, and now it just seemed to have all been funneled out the system. So I would rather take the team that I at least know shouldn't have any issues scoring the football. I know they got Joe Mixon. I know they got 2 or 3 decent receivers. Joe Burrow is an established quarterback already. I have to at least hang my hat on that.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, last one. We got what this gonna be? The game of the week for Fox, for Fox probably. Dallas against Kansas City. Kansas City is a 2.5 point favorite this Sunday.
Oh man, that's a real. Now you talking about a pick 'em. You said Dallas is favorite 2.5 right now.
Kansas City 2.5. Yep.
KC at home, I'm guessing.
Yep.
KC at home. Man, everything in me is saying Dallas, like to cover that. Man. That's a true pick 'em game right there. That's tough, Sid. Oof.
It is.
Man. I'm going to have to go Dallas, man. That's tough, though. I'm going to have to go Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas can run the ball. They've definitely found their running game using both running backs. But to me, man, Dak Prescott has played just as good. I will continue to say this. To me, he has played just as good as any other quarterback in the NFL to this point. We know what he got in CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Defense, to me, is so overrated. Cowboys fans hate it, but I feel like their defense is just so overrated,
It's an
but the numbers,
defense. It's an average defense, but they absolutely capitalize on turnovers, and that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yep, and the numbers, like, they've been so much better against the run than what I thought they would be this year. But when you got Dak Prescott putting 30 on everybody's head, teams don't have time to try to run the ball on you. Exactly. So Dallas has just been more consistent. I believe in Dallas's defense, although they're not powerhouse or anything. I believe in their defense. And I'll say this: I think it'll be fun to see what's the linebacker name?
Parsons.
Parsons. It would be fun to see him matched up on Kelsey a little bit because I think that would have to be a matchup that we would see at some point in the game. So I'm gonna roll with the Cowboys. KC, we know what their offense is, but we also know what their defense is. They, offense just got rolling this past week. So I'm gonna roll with the Cowboys for another week.
I'm gonna tell you now. I think the best thing for Dallas on Sunday is to keep Parsons' hand in the dirt and have him coming off the edge. And they really like him doing that. But in this matchup, especially going up against somebody like Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the league, that might be a responsibility you might want to try to throw Keanu Neal on it and have him try to do that. I think Michael Parsons would get ate up against a Kelce on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And this is a team where you you got to get pressure on Mahomes. You got to get pressure on Mahomes, and Michael Parsons is going to be a big he's going to be a big part of being able to get to him. I'm going to take Kansas City, and I'm going to take Kansas City because I feel like this game is going to be a shootout, and in any shootout, I'm taking Kansas City. Yeah, in any shootout, I'm taking Kansas City. I agree with a lot that you said. Dallas can run the football better than Kansas City can. Kansas City can't stop the run to save their life. So Zeke and Tony Pollard should have good games. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup is back. We know the talent that's on that Dallas offense. We know the talent that's on that Kansas City offense. And it's going to come down to what we just talked about when we talked about Kansas City's game last week. Will Kansas City turn the football over? If Patrick Mahomes can go out there and throw no interceptions, I don't see any reason why they'd lose this game. I think this game goes score for score and ends up coming down to who has the football last. If Kansas City has the football last, no matter how much time is remaining in the game, I think they end up pulling it out. So I'm going to take Kansas City. Yeah.
I can respect that one.
So this actually looks like it should be a pretty good slate of games Sunday. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know the week gets started tomorrow with the Patriots and the Falcons. And we didn't even touch on the Patriots this week. We'll probably talk about them next week. But that's a team that's turned it around from what they've looked like this earlier this season, and especially from what they looked like last season.
That was as expected as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we still haven't gotten too much basketball yet. It's still really not time yet. But we'll get to that soon too.
Is it not time, or is it because the Lakers over there losing, man? Which one is it?
Nah, I mean, we can talk about, because right now I'm able to look up and say, well, Milwaukee ain't doing nothing either. Brooklyn's struggling too. I can look up and say everybody looks to be struggling right now. Yeah. But there's definitely some interesting storylines going around the NBA too right now. Giannis voicing about how he can see in 2 years him being out of Milwaukee. And that's so strange to me for the timing of saying something like that. So that's definitely something I want to talk about. How the Heat are looking, how those Bulls are looking. There's a lot.
I was just about to say that's been the most exciting thing in basketball this year to me has been the Bulls. I was just about to say that. Yep. Every night to me is much watch TV with them.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot to talk about. Zion is getting closer to getting back. But it really ain't gonna matter if he go out there being 300 pounds. It's a lot that we gonna be able to touch on when it comes to basketball. So we gonna start digging into that soon too. Don't know if we'll get a show in next week because of Thanksgiving. We might be able to get one in Monday or Tuesday, depending on how schedules look. But always great to get on here and talk sports with you, man. Looking forward to another good week of football.
I'm gonna lay hands on that picture behind you because you got Drew Brees up there, man. And all these quarterback problems we having, man. They have to come back and put that number 9 on, bro.
I saw that they doing they gonna recognize him at halftime on Thanksgiving. I said they just trying to get him back in the building. They just trying to sweeten up the pie real quick. That's all. I
hope he come out fully dressed like the Royal Rumble or something like that and just slide right on into the game, bro.
Oh man, that would be great. That would be great. But it ain't gonna happen. but yeah, man. Until next time, bro.
Yep. Signing off. Appreciate it, Sid.
You boys not in my league. If you listen close, I'm coaching. Take keys, cause the boy hella dope without pushing a Blanco. Still stabbing bitches like 94 in the Bronco. If it's about the money, I'm leaving them hoes pronto. If I don't do nothing, I'm about line so. Every time I do it to